What do you think about the intensity from your teammates out there? Was there enough in the game? Did they give enough, do you think?
What you mean? Your question of my teammates?
I can't say. I am the referee, I'm not the coach.
It looks good. He likes it. Nigel Owen's arm goes up. And Ireland have stolen the game right at the death.
Hello and welcome to the Charge episode 15. We've got we have a different audio setup this week. Hopefully it's a bit better.
Was that something people complained about?
Well, I didn't like it.
Who complained? Tell me wrong.
Well, out of our 5 subscribers, who knew? Who knows what they were thinking, really?
In fairness, now 2 of them are probably used to.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely one of them. Ben is one. Shout out to Ben.
Good old Ben. Enjoy your commute to work.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so we haven't done one in 2 weeks, so there's been a lot of rugby played in the meantime. I suppose we have to kind of look back on the Champions Cup final, even though it's pretty painful. Yeah, what are your thoughts, guys? How did it make you feel?
Big game.
Thanks for that, Dave.
Big game with big players.
We can end the podcast there. Yeah, it was a game which we could have won, but we needed to really be 100%. Like, we couldn't do that kick out at half time, and we couldn't let Ringrose not pass the ball. Like, if both those things happen, maybe we win.
I don't know. Did you watch the match back?
Yeah.
Maybe hindsight and everything coloured my view, and I often mention that I am a pessimist on this podcast, but Jesus Christ, when I watched that match back, there wasn't really a doubt about which team was better.
Oh, they were clearly better. But
that's what I'm saying. I suppose, actually, when you say that, if we had done those two things, it could have dropped their level or whatever. Yeah. Because I do think when it was 10-3 was the only time during the match. Well, obviously they knocked it on loads early and stuff, but I think that was just early jitters. But when we were 10-3, I think they sort of, you could see in their play for a few minutes that there was a little bit of doubt there.
There was. They were on the racks almost. They had a yellow card. 2 props got injured, and then we had scored.
So it's a big testament to them that they didn't completely capitulate. But I suppose we did maybe a little bit. I thought an interesting point in the match was the rucks. To me, it seemed like maybe we had a plan of driving over the rucks. Mm-hmm. And early on, we tried it. It looked successful enough to me, but Garces penalised it. Yep. And I was watching, and I saw several other points during the match where, to me, it looked like we could have driven over the ruck, but didn't. I think that's maybe a testament to that early decision from Garces. Generally, to me, we were quite ineffective in the rucks compared to Saracens. Yep. Saracens were constantly trying to poach it. Liam Williams went for 3 different poaches. I think one is that famous one, which everyone lauds. Billy Vunipola was all over that ruck.
Billy Vunipola was all over the intercepts.
Jesus, he was everywhere.
But yeah, they were clearly the better team on the day. But I think we could have snuck it, especially if at half time going in at 10-3. They might have a bit of doubt in their minds, and they'd have to start chasing it, especially if we got an early penalty. Then it's a 2-score game, and they have to try, and maybe they make some mistakes.
But just to bring it back to my point about the driving over the rucks, that incident where Luke McGrath didn't kick it out. Mm-hmm. If you watch that ruck where Rob Kearney's trapped underneath, I think it's Toner, Fardy, and Healy are in the proximity of that ruck. Mm-hmm. And if those players take a look at that ruck now, I would say they'd say that's a perfect opportunity to try and drive over. Yeah. Like, the ball, you could see sort of the ball was in this weird spot. Saracens weren't massively defensively set on it. I think if they had been on the ball there, they could have been driving up.
Yeah, but I think again, they wanted the game to have to be over like this one. Didn't want to give Saracens any free yards. Let them make a play in their own half, but unfortunately we gave away the penalty.
This is where split-second decision making, I feel like Fardy was immense on the day. He was one of the players that I was actually quite happy with. And he was one of the only players in our team actually trying to affect any sort of momentum or changes at rucks.
I don't think the players played Ringrose and McGrath made big mistakes, but like Conan had a good game. It was just that his opposite number was really incredibly good.
Yeah,
you can't like there's very few Leinster players that are actually poor. I felt they just came up against.
I
a
thought
team.
3 players, by comparison to their opposite numbers, were quite poor. And to me,
Name names.
Name and shame.
that was Jordan Lamore versus Liam Williams. I thought he was poor by comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who are my other two? Sean O'Brien compared to Jackson Ray. I thought he was poor. Anonymous even. That's a bit strong, but he was there. Like, he just turned up, didn't do a whole lot. You know.
He's not the same as he was.
No,
No.
he's getting
Not
on.
by a long shot.
It's the reason he hasn't played since as well. Well, I think he's injured, but like, it was the right decision to let him go.
Yep.
Which is unfortunate, and he's had so many good memories of him in Irish shirts and Leinster shirts, but it's just his time waits for no man, and he's just done.
Yep.
Do you bring him to World Cup?
After the Toulouse match, I would have said yes. After the Saracens match, I am now thinking
No.
it's a bit harsh, like, but maybe not. But I don't think Joe will do that, because unless Joe drastically changes his
I don't
modus.
think it would be too drastic for him to drop, because he's bringing Peter O'Mahony, he's bringing Sander, he's bringing Van der Fleer. That's probably his first choice.
Conan as well, probably.
Like, and now do you say, do you bring Conan? Do you bring Jordy Murphy? Maybe.
Fuck Jordy.
So, like, where does Sean O'Brien fit in that?
Exactly. Yep.
But I thought the last pairing that I thought they were superior in was Ringrose versus Lazowski. So I thought everywhere else was almost parity. You could say Toner versus Atoje, or Toner versus Cruz. Atoje wasn't playing in the second row. But yeah, I mean, overall the stats weren't that dissimilar. Like a definite trend was Saracens making more yards per carry, and that's clearly noticeable in the match. Like, in the first 20 minutes, the only thing holding Saracens back was their own mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, they were, I think, for the first 7 or 8 minutes, both teams were just box kicking it to the other team, trying to find their feet. And I think as soon as Saracens realised they were dominant in the carries, they sort of toned down the box kicking and just started to try run it through us.
I saw this mentioned somewhere else, but they said the longer it went on, the phases, more comfortable Leinster were in defence. Like, they might make a big carry and make yards, but like Leinster would then adapt. Like, they got through like several phases, like 10 plus phases multiple times, then knocked it on. And like, that's because of the pressure Leinster brought on, not just Saracens' mistakes, and vice versa as well. When Leinster started throwing interceptions and started making mistakes, because it was the pressure they put on. But for the first half, Leinster were not comfortable.
Well, yeah, I know. Like, if you stop it at the 10-3 or even the 10-0, because the 3 came quite late, and you asked me how I felt, I would have been like, oh, really positive. But on rewatch, it looks quite stark, I think, the difference. Like, one team just seemed, as soon as they realised they were physically dominant, they just didn't seem nervous at any point, apart from like one brief period at 10-3.
But I think like Leinster were kind of like a boxer on the ropes, like you're basically using the ropes just to take the sting out of the opposition and maybe get a late knockout with that. So I was happy enough, as I said, going to that. But then an easy enough penalty and that's try, and that was such a momentum killer.
Well, another thing is, I didn't see this live on the day, was they had a camera in Leinster's dressing room, and the body language was quite bad, I thought.
I think at half time as well, like the Saracens one was quite animated, like everyone was up, everyone like, and they could be at different points of the thing, but the Leinster game, like everyone was basically.
Johnny was reading the fucking program, like, what is that about? Like, we've heard Johnny big speech during half time. I suppose you can't give a speech for the whole 15 minutes of the half time, but
program at half
yes,
time?
maybe it was a playbook. Okay, I'm just trying to run with a narrative here. It was probably a playbook actually, but I don't know. Johnny just had his head in a book. Stuart Lancaster was talking. Heads seemed to be down everywhere. But again, I guess it makes sense when you've just given away like 10 points in the space of 5 minutes that people's doubts will start to creep in. But just to harp on about Larmore again, I don't know. I'm having my doubts about him. Like, Barry Daly is the future for Leinster as far as I'm concerned.
I thought Lamore was okay. He had a nice break at the start that he probably should have kicked instead of trying to pick up.
Yeah. That was just bizarre, because he overtook the two Saracens. I think it was Toje and Lazowski he was racing against. I don't know how fast Lazowski is, but he overtook both of them quite easily.
Yeah,
and then he went for this miracle pickup.
That he did against Scarlets last year.
And like, it didn't work. If he had just kicked that, he would have had the pace, and then he could have had more distance between him and the other players to allow him to more comfortably make an assessment of the situation.
That's just like the same event happened multiple times where against a lesser opponent you get away with it, but the fact you have to be near perfect, so you can't do these things.
This is I think he will get better at reading the game, and
I mentioned this during the Munster Leinster game, but I thought he looked a lot better at fullback.
really
I thought he was much more assured.
assured than he usually is at fullback, or assured than he is on the wing.
Fullback, like his first few fullback
Okay.
games, like
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
a bit
Hit and miss.
like good going forward, but I thought he was like quietly competent. Like, okay, Munster not the greatest test in that regard, but I thought it was an improvement. So it could be a sign of things to come, or maybe it's just
Another thing I find about him, again, it could have just been big game day nerves, but if nothing's on, I think he's too inclined to kick the ball. And I don't like that out of a player. Now, he's the kind of guy who probably could kick it and maybe make something of it. But I feel like maybe if other Irish provincial wings were doing that, we would call them on it. But
he's saying Lamore kicks too much.
I'm not saying he kicks too much, but I think he might panic a bit.
His decision making is a bit
Yeah,
questionable.
especially close to the sidelines.
Yeah.
And his thing is to like cut back in and try and dance around people. But how often does that work, really? Again, against lesser teams, okay, you'll cut them open maybe, but it's a bit of a mean play.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do in a position like that.
I know, I'm saying maybe you should take it to ground more.
Fergus McFadden style, just
Yeah,
hard carries.
That's reliable. Dave Carney presenting that ball like Fergus McFadden, just
that ball presentation
solid.
by Dave Carney.
This is where I think Barry Daly is in the future.
I thought it was something that happened in the English games as well. The amount of interceptions
Yeah, actually, just
and the Toulouse game away.
just while you're talking about that, one point I've seen thrown around a lot is so that's 2 games this year where an Irish team has been physically like not manhandled, but like they have players where physically we're not able to compete, like Billy Vunipola, Itoje, Tuolagi for England, Skelton. Like, so how concerned would you guys be then for Leinster in the future, and I suppose Ireland in a few months, like coming up against those bigger packs, like, and everything, and
Not overly so.
yeah,
Like it's we've played against bigger packs.
Yeah.
Before, like the difference between this year and last year is Vunipola, and that's one, and we didn't have Levy.
So are we thinking that Vunipola is the best number 8 in the world?
Yes.
yeah, I would.
Because I have best player in the world even.
Perhaps.
He's in the conversation anyway.
Yeah.
Like.
I have it on good authority that he listens to this podcast. And I just want to say now that I take full credit for his rise. We all know he had problems with injury until I mentioned about the vitamin D. It was me. Thanks, Billy. But yeah, the big player issue.
Like we just have to change our tactics. I think our tactics of winning every collision, like if you lose collisions, you lose rugby. But I mean, it's like we go through so many rucks and make the opposition make so many tackles, but that's no longer a negative if they're knocking us back. I think we need to freshen things up. Like looking at the back row, you can't have someone like Sean O'Brien, Stander, and Peter O'Mahony. That's 2 carriers who aren't carrying, and Stander who will give you about 20 tackles and 20 carries a game for about 20 yards or something.
Yeah.
You can't have a back row like that and expect to make yards, especially when our back 3 aren't particularly physically as strong.
Well, okay. Let's look at Wales. They had a great Six Nations. They didn't have a particularly sizable team, I would say.
They're not sizable, but they're incredibly fit. They said they reckon if the game gets to 38 minutes or above in game and time,
Ball in play.
yeah, they'll win. Say 37 or less gets a bit. But they say once it gets higher, they'll win. And they have a very good defensive system. And their back row is they're going to miss the foul there, but they have Moriarty. They have big lads that can carry. Like I'd reckon Josh Navidi's a better carrier than Sean O'Brien now, or Peter Manny.
Oh yeah, I don't deny that, but I don't think he's big.
No,
Like
it's
you don't look at that Wales back row and think, "Wow, that's massive."
Yeah.
Like you do with, say, well, Saracen's back row wasn't like massive either.
It was.
Billy Vunipola big.
Itoje.
And Jackson Ray's normally in 8.
That's a sizable back row.
That's a very big back row. But not just back row, but like Wales it doesn't matter too much because they just have incredible defense and they'll pounce on mistakes. But that's not our plan. Our plan is keep possession, just keep going and going, and Wales can eat that up.
The one other thing that I've seen thrown around, which kind of there was echoes of the Ireland England game where this dominant tackle stat was like heavily stacked towards Saracens, and they just kept hitting us behind the gain line.
Well, that was really noticeable at points.
Yeah, it was.
And I think I saw Squid Rugby. I don't really remember much from the video, but I think I remember this because it compared with my own opinion, was that Saracens relented up until about like 10 metres outside of their 22. And then once you got to that point, every other tackle was driving you back.
Yep.
So the only place you're making meaningful yards on the carry on the pitch was like between the halfway line and 10 metres out from their 22. So it's not much. Like,
I didn't feel it was the same issue because English match, we just get driven back every carry. In this match, I thought the passing was very poor from scrum half and
out half.
Yeah, like you remember when Conan got smashed?
Yeah,
that was due to bad passes. We had a lot of passes that were just behind or a person getting hit with ball.
that was for Saracens' first 3 points. Conan got smashed. Ball came out of the ruck. Went to Johnny. Johnny got smashed by Cruz, and then they got a penalty off that.
Yep.
Big moment.
Like you just can't go against Saracens and not have quickness and slickness if you don't have the physical advantage. Yeah.
So Scott Penny is the future. He's big-ish.
Well,
I don't think he's big, but he's
big-ish.
big for a teenager. But
yeah.
He has that sevens build.
I felt we were missing Levy and Van der Fleer.
True. Yes.
I say it, like Sean O'Brien just wasn't in that game.
Yep.
He filled the jersey.
Healy had an
That's
amazing game, I thought.
Healy, yeah, Healy's playing really well.
Yeah.
He was the only other player apart from Scott Fardy that made a turnover on the ground. I think. Could be wrong with that. But that is a big thing I felt we were missing, was people pilfering. Like, you can't just leave it up to Scott Fardy.
Yeah.
Sean O'Brien was nowhere on the fucking ground. Like, nowhere. I know not every person that has 7 on the back of their jersey has to be doing that, but
Yeah.
like, I want to see him offering something. What was I said to you before this podcast started? He had 12 carries in 1 metre. He had 12 tackles, which is like an alright amount, but
Not exceptional.
I can't remember what his metres gained were. Oh yeah, it was 1 metre.
12 for 1 metre. Can't tell you what the metre gained was.
But
Yeah.
no, I think it is just time to go.
But something I'd like to see more from Leinster wings and Irish wings to a lesser degree, I'd like to see the wings look for work more. It seems like we're not using them, like our centres just aren't getting them into the game as much, and like when we do, they do okay. But I feel like we should be using them more. Like
Liam Williams.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it gets in there.
He was
gets
everywhere. He was
gets
absolutely
involved.
everywhere.
Liam Williams is kind of a bad thing to use because he's in a great team that will with a playmaker 12. Like I know Barras 12, but like they have Lewandowski to play in midfield, and he's a very good player looking for work himself. So it's not exactly 1 for 1, but I think it's something. Especially when you have Lowe and Lamore on your wings, you want to get them the ball as much as you can.
Well, I think Logo's looking for work.
He does.
He does.
Yeah.
And I think Barry Daly is looking for work. So, yeah, see you, Larmore. Get out of here.
Too bad Barry Daly busted his shoulder again.
I know. Tragedy. Absolute tragedy.
Supposed to wrap up with that game. Like Saracens are well-deserved winners.
Yep.
Those mistakes will rankle for Leinster.
The big thing for me was conceding 20 points unanswered was like
Once that
pretty
half-time,
tough.
they just kept grinding us down. That was about it. But I don't think I'm not panicked or anything like that.
Yeah.
Some people are saying, "Oh, Leinster will never."
going to be able to
But
compete.
you can say that a few years ago. We came back and won it last year.
Yeah, we beat them last year. So
Yeah, but they didn't have Big Billy V.
Yeah.
that is the one thing that kind of concerns me, is that when England or Saracens have Billy Vunipola, it actually adds that much. Where I'm like,
So you're saying I shouldn't have mentioned the vitamin D.
well, all I'm saying is
Mention something poisonous.
Arsenic.
all right. So that's that wrapped up. So then we'll go on talk quickly about the Pro 14 semi-finals, which were on last week. So the first one that was on the Friday night was the Glasgow versus Ulster game. So Glasgow, they handled business quite well. Took Ulster to the cleaners basically and looked very impressive doing it.
Yeah, let's talk about a list of specific details here from this match.
Let's get into specifics.
Minute by minute.
There were so many tries that you can't really.
Oh no, it's just great. Like
I can I can talk about specifics of Ulster players being bad.
yeah, do that. Like
I wonder what the halftime score was. I think
It was like 28-3, I think.
it was, okay.
It was over. Like
It was 24-3 at like 10 minutes.
yeah,
My God, that's damning.
From what I seen, like it was just they were gone. They were never in that match. Ulster and Glasgow could tear teams apart, especially on that pitch. The
the dry pitch. I mean the
AstroTurf, whatever.
4G.
artificial. Yeah,
Not for sure if it's 4G, but
could be 3G. Could be 4G.
People are getting cut up on it. I know that for sure.
Yeah,
Like you see them all at the
you get burns like carpet burn,
essentially, yeah.
which is
But that's not something we'll have to worry about in our game because it'll be in a
real pitch.
real pitch and probably could be lashing rain, so that will change that. But Glasgow are very good attacking, and they're kind of like Scotland to a degree. Like when they click, they can click. Hastings is basically, in my mind, Finn Russell Mark II.
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit less crazy than Finn Russell, though.
Like both ways of the spectrum. Like he won't be as bad, he won't be as good, but he's a very good player. And you look at the rest of their back line. They got Sam Johnson. They got they have
Klein, who has overtaken Hugh Jones as a starter.
Hugh Jones on the bench, so that shows you the quality of that. Seymour is a good try scorer. Hogg, of course, a
So I
fullback.
think Seymour is also a good leader. I've seen him. No, I'm serious. I've seen him.
No, okay.
Why would I say that? Like, I'm not being disingenuous here. I've seen him having words with people, trying to like calm them down, hype them up.
Well,
He was a talker. He wasn't just passively observing what was going on.
You'd have to consider him a senior player. Like he went to the Lions tour and he's been a mainstay for Scotland. So
And he seems to not be a quiet like he was out there trying to get through to his team on some level. Like you could when the camera went on him, he was talking to them at breaks and play and stuff. So, you know, obviously Hogg is immense.
DH Van der Merwe.
Yep, their back line is pretty stacked.
Yeah, and their forward pack is good.
Yeah,
you got Johnny Gray. You got
Callum Gibbons is a person.
their captain, Dave, of course.
Is he the captain? I thought they're number 8.
You said he was the captain.
No, I didn't. I said he could be the captain. Matt Ferguson got man of the match, I think. In
Matt
the Ulster.
Fagerson.
Look, I'm going to stick with what I said.
Rob Harley is there in the back row.
Yeah, he's good. He's a
They have mobile forwards, is how I would look at it.
yeah. Their pack isn't as good as Leinster's, but they're very mobile, as you say, and they can. It's very notable in their link play. I think you can see them. If you ever see the highlights, they're always in it.
Yeah.
So
All right, I'm going to make a call here. If Rob Harley's form continues as is, he will be the Josh Navidi of Scottish rugby. You heard it here first.
they're very different players.
I mean in terms of his career trajectory rather than in terms
one's
of
a
how they
rangy
play.
6 and one's a.
I said in terms of their career trajectory rather than in terms of
I
how
think
they
he's playing
play.
for Scotland for years, though.
Has he got starts and stuff? I think Navidi got 1 or 2 starts.
Possibly, yeah, but
Yeah, I just remembered we're supposed to be talking about the Glasgow Ulster game.
there's not much to say.
Okay, yeah. So we covered that. Glasgow are really good. Ulster not great.
I think Ulster will still be happy enough with their season, even
Yeah.
though that's a terrible way to end it.
Yeah.
If it was a narrow loss, or even a comprehensive loss, but like that's an utter hammering.
Well, I think the players who weren't performing on the day would be worrying for the Irish.
internationals.
Yeah, Henderson was actually poison. I like him as a player, but Jesus, no, seriously, lads. Like, I actually watched the match. Not calling out anyone.
I actually,
This expert over here watching the game.
But nearly every time he was involved in any way, it was bad. Like knock-ons, giving away penalties, missing tackles.
I saw the tackle miss. That was bad.
He was trying. Like, so it wasn't a case of heart, and we know he has a lot of heart, but he wasn't great. Rory Best was kind of a Sean O'Brien-esque cameo of being there, but
what happens if Roy Best is done? Like he can't perform at a high level now.
it's a concern. It has to be a concern for Ireland. We just need them to hold it together for the next few months.
Need them hold together for most of the Scottish match and whatever match in the quarterfinal.
Well, like Sean Cronin, like either has to step up or that he'll never make it. Like so,
He hasn't made it so far.
Yeah.
he's a 28-year-old prospect.
Sean Cronin's older than 28.
Yeah, he's
Okay, he's a 32-year-old prospect.
All right, so that covers Glasgow Ulster. I think we kind of covered all that. Ulster are very poor, Glasgow very good.
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the other semi-final, which we were all at.
He's great.
Yeah, it was very good. Leinster versus Munster in the RDS.
We may have all been at it, but I actually watched it.
Oh.
Not calling out anyone. I seriously barely remember what happened.
It was weird because remember you're saying when you watched Sarson's match back, you had a completely different view of it then.
Yeah.
I had the same view of it, a different view when I watched it again.
The Munster.
Yeah, because
Leinster
I had a mind that, okay, Munster had a lot of possession, but we were dominating the first half. There wasn't. They had a lot of a lot of ball. We didn't do much with it at all in the first half.
We had a lot of ball, or they had a lot
They had
of
a
ball.
lot of ball. I think it was 53% to them at the very end, but in the first half it seemed like they hogged it completely. They had at the very first few minutes they had a very good few carries, which Kilcoyne, Stander sent Ruddock back.
That first 5 minutes, I was worried. For even first 10,
Yeah.
like I thought they look up for it, we don't. It was just. Sorry, carry on.
Is that the ice cream man?
Yeah, there's an ice cream truck outside. Apologies if you can hear that.
I'll
but-
close the blinds. I'm not very sure what I'll do. Yeah, that they were very dangerous early on, and then they could do nothing with it.
But that's. I almost feel like that was. We knew that they hadn't got much firepower.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, if they have possession, we're not going to panic. We'll trust our defensive systems. They're going to run at us with one-out runners, and there's going to be no creativity here that can get around us. They're not big enough to challenge us like Saracens did, so we're just going to sit there and absorb it.
Yep.
I suppose like if we had this podcast going last year, you could just replay this episode because the match was a bit different, but like they just don't learn.
Yep.
They're losing 2 coaches now under a storm, I suppose you could call it.
Graham Roundtree has been linked with.
I see that.
It's not a bad get if they get him.
He could be the Stuart Lancaster of Munster rugby.
That entire actually coaching staff actually from that 2015 World Cup has now ended up in Ireland.
Yes.
If he ends up here.
Also, the Welsh backs coach
Howley.
Howley's been linked as well. They're both very good boys if they have either of them. The problem is they won't be there until after World Cup.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2 or 3 months into the season by the time you get your coach, and it'll take a while for them to bed in. So you could be half the season gone. You could be Europe could be over pretty much
if you don't bed in very quickly.
Do you know who impressed me in that match? Who absolutely doesn't usually impress me. In fact, quite the opposite. Mike Haley, a fullback.
The Munster fans were not a fan of him around
In
us.
that match, that's the best I've seen him play in a long time. Like,
I felt he was like moments away from disaster a couple of times.
well, as opposed to usually making horrible disasters.
No, I mean like there was a couple of things where he doesn't get the ball when it's bouncing in the, but he gets it, or it's like the ball's coming at him and he's being chased and he managed just to.
But he'd usually fuck that up. Like, I usually watch him and just think, my God, that is not who you want going forward. Like,
I thought he was safe enough.
I thought he was one of the better backs out there on the day. Seriously, like, if he can do that consistently, I would almost, if he played like that every match and Lamore was hit and miss as he seems to be to me, okay, not hit and miss, but I want more from him. I would almost make a case for Haley at fullback over Lamore.
I thought Lamore was better at fullback than Haley was.
You might be right. But maybe I've set the bar so low for Haley that if he just turns up and doesn't fuck up horribly like several times.
He got absolutely done for Lowe's try.
Yeah, he got stood up and just destroyed
that
him.
was one terrible moment. The handoff to the face, and he's there clutching his face on the ground after.
Conway lost the plot a bit with
yeah.
Lowe. They were giving him verbals the entire match, and Conway was giving verbals the entire match. There's a great gif by Murray Kinsella where they're at each other, and then Lowe makes a big tackle. I think it's Stander or someone. A big tackle behind the game line, comes out, loves it, starts laughing maniacally.
Apparently, he
He's
was
a sociopath.
He was pumping up the crowd and all of this, and I love it because it's like he's invested in this whole rivalry.
Reacts so well with it.
Did I not say early on in that match that I wish the other 14 Leinster players were as up for it as Lowe appears to be?
Then we'll have 3 red cards or something.
Yeah.
You saw what happened in the December game. Everyone was up for it then.
But like, why is he passionate? Why are our lads not when it's a provincial?
Oh, they're passionate. They just don't.
Wear their heart in the sleeve.
Well, some of it is I look at James Lowe and I'm like, he plays with a smile on his face, and you can tell he's relaxed.
He
enjoying
is.
it.
He is our hype man. Like Maro Itoje is Saracen's hype man.
Yeah.
And we need that.
Whereas I'd say with some of the Irish players and all that, they're not robotic, but like they know they're under pressure, and like
Gary Ringrose is the most robotic. Okay, I'm sorry, Gary. I love you.
The last couple of months though with Ringrose, now you brought him up. He's making mistakes he doesn't normally make.
Yeah, it's very uncharacteristic of him.
I was actually thinking at the start of the season, Ringrose has come from this young up-and-coming player. He's only 24 now, so just slotting into the Irish team, and that's it. Like, you just expect excellence from him, and he normally does. And now during the Six Nations and onwards, basically, he's been starting making mistakes. Now he passed this week.
Yeah, he passed and we scored a try.
It was great. The
Yeah.
front row.
But
You
okay, you look at that Six Nations and you say that's the first time he's ever been in a setup where it's not success, win.
He started
maybe
under
he has
Matt
a-
O'Connor.
Did he?
It was 2016. He got his first Irish cap, I think.
Possibly.
I don't
yeah.
remember him
He
being
played the last-
around a lot then though. He was forged in this winning, like his career was made in the winning.
Well, he played in the 2017.
Was he good? Okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'm talking shite.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be unusual for this podcast. But yeah, I think it might be a testament to his mental frailty that the Six Nations took the toll that I believe it did on his psyche.
It's possible that he's trying to take more on himself. Like he's kicking a lot more, from my mind, or else the fact his kicks aren't coming off, that it's more visible.
I remember he had the two of them blocked down against Ulster in the quarterfinal.
He had one where it was the right decision to make, and he just stop breathing into the mic.
Sorry, am I doing that?
Someone is. He's going to kick it on the ground, true, and he's doing it, and he just takes a couple of seconds to do it. And by the time he does it, it gets kicked down, and they knock it on eventually. But it was just, I think he's trying to take the pressure off out half, maybe, because it wasn't working for Six Nations, and doing more himself, and it's either not working or it's just exposing himself to more mistakes. So maybe it's just a learning curve. Maybe he's just at a bit of bad form.
Remember Brian O'Driscoll had that lull in his career and they got some psychologist in to slap him in the face. We need that guy for a ring roast. Bring him back. Where is he?
At centre, 13 Whisperer or something.
Yeah.
I thought Henshaw was quite poor actually on rewatch.
Henshaw got lower ranking than Ringrose in the Irish Times ranking because we all know how much I like to bring that up. He got 6, I think, where Ringrose got 7.
Normally he's always in these games, but he just didn't seem to be. It's
Did
like Sean O'Brien's performance previous week, where it wasn't terrible. It was just like you feel the jersey. Like he got a head knock early on, so that could be it.
Oh, okay. Sorry to bring it back to the Saracen match, but a point I wanted to make and I forgot about was did you see about 59 minutes Sexton taking a massive hit from Henshaw, clearly being all spazzed out on the ground, but then playing on for the rest of the match?
Oh, it was a bit later than 59.
I think it was
I
exactly
saw
59
it.
minutes.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I remember him getting absolutely laid out. I was like, oh, he's off.
And he was
off.
like this on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
but like, why was no one on there
Yeah,
taking him off?
Because
Like,
it's a Champions Cup final and it's Johnny Sexton.
fuck that. Like, I don't want to see him die on the pitch.
Okay. More of a podcast has turned out to be. I thought Conan was absolutely great again.
Yeah, against
And
Munster,
if
yeah.
it wasn't for Van der Vlier's heroic performance again, coming back from injury, he'd be man of the match.
Yeah, I think Conan got 9 maybe, and Van der Vlier got 9 as well. So.
You have to have him a starting 8 now. I don't think there's any doubt.
But again, Joe Schmidt, will he change his ways or will he stick to what he knows?
He does change from time to time. He has his 15, which he likes to stick to. That's all coaches do, but
Yeah.
I think he will somehow bring him in.
Somehow, there's no somehow about it. Get fucking CJ out.
No,
and
I mean, like, do you put CJ to 6, you put him to 7? What do you do? Like, but I think he will bring Conan in.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But
Which Munster players weren't at the races?
Well, I know, like, we don't want to call anyone out, but
I do though.
Peter O'Mahony's, from a purely statistical point of view, it was pretty poor. Like, it was just average at best.
On the day, I noticed them doing one thing that was like a semi-decent carry out on the left wing for Munster going forward. Beyond that,
That's another worry, I think.
It is actually, because you look at, like, I always think back to that All Blacks game when Peter was like dominant and was like all over the place making plays, and then he just disappears in games like this, and you're kind of like, is he just tired? What like what's?
It could be age catching up with him.
Yeah.
He's not the player he was a few years ago. He doesn't have the speed and the engine as he did then. Like, he's still a great line-out operator, and he can get it for the big games.
Yeah, he's definitely a big game guy.
But like, I just, this is a bias for me because I like my sixes being workhouses. Like, you have to make a lot of tackles. You have to make a lot of carries, and he could be doing a lot of work on slowing down rucks and stuff like that. But if you just look at stats, he doesn't hit good numbers regularly. I'm not even talking about like a great double-digit carry, double-digit tackles game. He doesn't hit like 8 or 9 tackles all the time, which I think for a 6 is pretty poor. And he's not a destructive carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like look, you're looking at the stats there, Rob. Where's the passion stat? I don't see that.
You can't measure that kind of thing. Just passion, heart,
Like leadership
the
is
intangibles.
Yeah, exactly.
James Lowe would have got 10 out of 10 for passion on the day anyway.
Yeah.
But
He also got 10 out of 10 in terms of real stats too. Like, he's very
Did
good. Well, like, I would have given him, because he did 11 carries for 61 meters, which is pretty good.
yeah, no, he was up there with Van der Vlier for
2 clean breaks, which is pretty, like...
yeah, in a match that didn't have very many clean
Yeah,
breaks.
yeah.
That's
We had 10 clean breaks to Munster's 1. That was stats I saw coming out of the match. I'm not sure if they were revised.
Yeah, but that's pretty damning, all right.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the difference between the teams. And once Sexton came on, the game was over. Munster
Sexton actually had a positive impact.
Yeah,
had
he
a very
did.
good impact.
Yep.
Which shows the wisdom of putting him on the bench for 60 minutes.
Yeah, but the narrative, Neil. Leo Cullen dropped our best player.
Yeah, and they were saying after the match they're confused about the
what the reaction was.
yeah, they said, like, this is what we do. We rotate teams. He took a lot of hits. Like, no one said anything about
Oh, Sexton played poorly, we'll drop him. Like,
Yeah.
It was rotation, pure rotation.
Say your thing about Rory Scannell, Neil. And why are they playing a ball
yes.
playing?
He's
Yes.
Rory Scannell's essentially one of those second out half centres.
Second five.
Sorry,
eights.
Niles. I always mix these two up. The 12.
Yeah, Rory is the 12.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Like, but that's what he is. He's good kicking off, good kicking option, good passing centre. And they used to use him to crash it up against Henshaw and the rest of the Leinster defence. And Leinster eked it up the whole day. And then you have Farrell, who's a very good. You can crash the ball up with a good line. He's got a bit of passing. But they just crash it up, and then that's it. That's the Munster's attack.
I think I remember pointing out during the match, like, I was watching how often the Munster attack just descended into one pass, go, one pass, go, one pass, go. And obviously Leinster are fairly comfortable defending that, like, especially because when Saracens do it, like, it's a bit more like...
Well, see, the thing with Munster, that Kilcoyne would make the break, and they just all flood in after him. They pass it out to someone else, and then it stops there. Where Stander makes the yards, and then it's going great. Someone else makes yards, and then the third carry, it stops because they only have so many carries in the team. Well, Saracens do it more smartly. First of all, more smartly,
Yeah,
smarter.
Yeah.
And second of all, their bigger lads are just bigger.
Yeah.
And they have more of them. Like, both Funabolas can carry. Jackson Ray can carry. Itoje, he's not a great carrier for side, but he can carry. And Skelton's obviously a big carrier.
Brad Barrett as well. He's good.
And that's not even talking about the backs.
Yeah.
Like, that pack will carry ball and has multiple players who can do it, so you can't just mark one, or if one's on the bottom of a ruck.
So you saying the Munster forward agenda is just a poor man's Saracens forward agenda?
They're actually similar enough to Saracens and Exeter when they try bully. This don't have the timber to do it.
I'd say that they're successful against, I'd say, even as high as 80% of teams.
Or at least, yeah, I know.
But then when they come up against the big boys who are not going to be steamrolled, they have nothing. They have no answers. Which, although I would point out, the only one who I think could actually is key for them is Joey Carberry.
Like, that back line they put out
Yeah.
should be more incisive than it is. Even if the forwards weren't giving them a massive platform, they're still giving them enough to do something.
Could this be wings needing to go looking for work?
They actually do a bit, Munster, but they always just cut inside.
Yeah, Keith Earls is just constantly cutting inside.
Him and because they get the ball and
There's nowhere to go. Like.
there's a touchline here
Yeah.
and a defender here, so you just have to cut inside, and then you reset, and then that's it. I thought the Munster scrum was pretty dominant during the game, but when I rewatched it, it was basically nearly 50-50 in terms of penalties. There's that decision where we went to 7 men voluntarily when Lowe was off.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
I think we just wanted we didn't want to give up a try or something from a break, and we said, okay, the risk of penalty is fine, or else they underestimated the Munster scrum. But it was seesawing back and forth the entire game, pretty much, the scrum.
Dev Towner got injured.
Yeah, that's
Rare to see.
Very rare.
Do we know what it was? I didn't follow that
It
up.
wasn't as bad as previously thought, and he'd be back in.
He'll be back for the World Cup,
Yeah.
so
That's good. But, I mean, I know we won't be facing teams of Saracens quality every time in the World Cup, but he's another player who I think I have all the time in the world from, but I just think, does he offer enough? I know he's coming to the end of his career, so this won't be an issue for much longer, but, like, if you look at what Cruz, Itoje, and
Skelton.
Skelton did on the day. They were kind of did everything. Like
The first
Toner is the out and out line out guy, okay, but you sort of want more than that.
The first thing you can discount Skelton because there's no one in World Rugby like Skelton. Very few players are that big and that can actually move.
Yeah.
So like you can't say be more like Skelton. It's just not possible.
They're freaks, like
Yeah.
they're just freaks that we don't produce. Well,
Freaks and athletes.
yeah.
Like we had no problem with Toner last year when we were winning trophies.
Yep.
Sure, I wish he could carry more and knock people over, but he is what he is. And
I understand that if you take him out, our line out does go a bit wonky, but Jesus Christ, I hope someone's working
it's
to
not
correct
line-
that
it's
quickly.
Not, it's not line out, it's to maul, it's set piece. And he does the restarts as well. It's basically every set piece he is involved in is generally solid. And also he's a good player around the pitch.
I thought in the New Zealand match he was doing more. So if you can do more in one match,
Well, that was New Zealand don't have the massive pack to like. You just don't have to come up against those 3 packs in World Rugby. They're gonna actually smash you back, and it's never just I wish we had one second row who's beefier. Like that's not the difference between teams. Like if you put like say like a Henderson in for Toner, like that game doesn't change that much.
I understand that, but what I'm getting at is that if you go through the teams and compare and contrast what each player did, I think each Saracens player did quite a bit more than their Leinster counterpart.
Yeah.
Like I know I've thrown out like 4 examples, but there was possibly 1 or 2 where it would swing the other way.
Yeah,
but,
Takini and Fardy were the only probably better than the opposite numbers in the pack, but like that just happens.
so we're better than Munster, but worse than Saracens.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's weird.
Is that a good place to be, or
it's a very good place to be.
It's better than
It means you're probably
it's better than being Ulster?
it's probably the second best team in Europe.
yeah.
And that game was a game we could have won, but we didn't. Like it's not like we didn't choke or anything.
There was key moments where you can trace it back to
And
this is
maybe if this goes like this, we could win.
Yeah.
It wasn't like from minute 1 we're gone.
Yeah.
We clawed it back to a respectable score, but it was never in doubt. I thought the Munster game, to finish with that, like there's just Munster again. They just need more.
A bridge too far.
Well, it's an interesting thing now. It's a few years in a row. I can't remember how many semi-finals they've lost now, but it's
Maybe 12. So
yeah,
I'm picking that number out from somewhere.
It's something crazy like that. And what do they need to do to get over this hump?
Oh, well,
'Cause-
they need to be more than passion merchants. I think that first 10 minutes where we were all a bit worried was possibly there. All right, they've had a big talk. Peter O'Mahony's been at the forefront before the match. They were going to go out there. What's the famous Paul O'Connell quote?
Put the fear of God
Put
into
the fear
them.
of God into them. That gets them from 10 minutes of looking half decent, and then
If that doesn't work,
yeah, you can't sustain that for 80 minutes, or at least it's very bloody hard to do so. So, you know,
They just need to be. I think if they're more efficient in attack and more dangerous, maybe they'd start winning some of these semi-finals. But they're set up to have a pack that beats up other teams, and that works, as you said, 80% of the time at least. That's why they keep getting the home quarters or in the league. Home
or they're
quarters.
getting 2 semis.
Yes, but it means you have to be very good on the day and hope your opposition has an off day. It's not like you can say, okay, if we play well, they play well, we can maybe win this. You have to actually hope your opposition doesn't show up.
can we call out Tyg Byrne?
I suppose you could. You can call it anyone you want, Dave. It's a free podcast.
But he made it into the Pro 14 Team of the Year, which I didn't agree with.
No, I thought he had a very good, especially the first half of the season.
Is that good enough to get you into a Team of the Year, though?
Yeah, he had some big games. But I thought he had an absolute brain dead penalty.
That was the one where they threw him across the line and he just went straight onto the ball.
Yeah, Carberry had a great kick into 5 meter. 5 meter. Okay, this is time to pin the Leinster back. Time to force them to do something, and they do something like that. That just kills all momentum. And they end up getting a penalty shortly after. But
Oh man, look at this! Rob's doing his job over here.
I'm looking at the team of the year, dream team.
I have to say number 11, Rob's Max Wayne. He's absolutely
Put the
my
cheetahs.
I'd put Max Deegan in there. I don't understand how Peter Manley's in there.
I don't understand why the Player of the Year nominee Bram Stain, who was one of my picks of the year, isn't on that team sheet.
Yeah, Scott Fardy and Tyg Byrne. Yeah, it's a strange looking team.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? It's interesting that the 2 finalists have 1 player each. I think maybe there's 2 from Leinster, but
Scott Fardy and nope, just 1 from
okay,
Leinster.
so
and
Xander Ferguson and Scott Fardy.
Yeah.
But yet they're the 2 finalists.
Yeah, it almost looks like they tried to just give everyone
Yes.
a go.
Which I don't disagree with, okay? But
Don't call it Team of the Year then.
why is there only one Benetton Treviso player? Like,
Yeah, they made the playoffs. Edinburgh have at least 2, and they didn't.
where
make
the?
playoffs.
I'm just salty about Bramstein not being there. I gotta be honest.
No James Lowe.
Yeah, but was he playing that much this year in Pro
He
14?
played a good bit.
Yeah.
A lot of the smaller games. That's why you get these people on. To wrap up the Munster game, Leinster did enough to win, and that was it. And we scored a great try with James Lowe. And
Okay,
everyone-
so you say we did enough, but will enough be against Glasgow?
Yes,
That's
let's move on to the big one.
nice segue.
The big one. That was very good. That was pro. So the final is on tomorrow on free to air actually, which is nice on
Yeah.
TG Car, which is a good move.
What the fuck is TG Car, Rob?
Television
TG4. We say
Oh.
4.
Oh,
I won't be associated with them rebels and rouse makers.
do you say top 14 or top 14? Because I know some of the other guys they say top 14.
What other guys?
The other guys
Jerry
on
Thornley.
YouTube.
Oh.
Oh, Jerry Thornley
Absolute
also says that.
sellouts, Rob. Absolute sellouts.
Sell out to the big France.
But okay, yeah. So the final is on tomorrow. Two
Frantically looking up Glasgow players.
two fully loaded teams, the 2 best teams in the conferences. They've been in first place for pretty much the entire league.
It was a bit touch and go for Glasgow and Munster
Oh, they were
for until about 3 weeks ago or 4
Yeah,
weeks
yeah.
left in the season. And then they
till they beat us, and
Yeah.
then that was sewn up really.
So, big point, I think, possibly, is it's forecast to be raining.
I think
at
that'll
the
suit
match.
us a lot.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
And Celtic Park is a regular pitch, so they won't have that advantage of even if it does rain, you can still play on a hard pitch.
Because we all saw what Glasgow did to Ulster, or at least I did. Not calling out anyone in particular.
You are though.
But it's funny I say that because I don't have any meaningful information, having watched it, to then convey. Like,
We went over their team earlier. It's the same team in semi, but we have to basically try to starve them of the ball a bit because they can score from anywhere.
big offloading game. Matt Ferguson, I think, drew a lot of offloads in the Ulster match, if I remember correctly. So, will they try that in the rain? Will they adapt their game
Oh,
plan?
they will try it in the rain.
Well, okay, so you go in first 20 minutes, that's not working. What do they fall back
They
on?
kick a bit more. They try tighten things up, but I don't think the rain, if it is indeed going to happen, will change their game plan too much. They're still going to try this very expansive attacking game. They might look to target our line out because I didn't mention it during the Leinster game, but Sean Cronin missed a few. We don't have the strongest line out. We have a great maul, and I hope we bring that in. But I think Leinster's game plan here is choke them. Like, we've got Carney's coming back, possibly for his last game for Leinster.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting in itself.
Dave Carney?
No, Rob.
I thought he signed the contract.
He was offered. Apparently, he was offered a contract, but it was lowballing him, and he hasn't signed yet.
Yeah. He's contracted to the RFU until the end of the World Cup.
Yeah.
And then after it, we don't know. Leinster announced a bunch of new contracts.
And he was missing.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I didn't know. It's a bit worrying. Maybe he's just going to retire. Maybe he...
No, he'll be playing somewhere next season, but may not be here.
I don't know about that. He could be one of these guys that...
Makes 300 grand for half a year rugby. Yeah,
Well-
he did that.
well, I actually saw on I'm not gonna another podcast. They were making an argument that Rob Kearney was like not. I don't think was the greatest Irish player of all time, but the most decorated Irish player.
Yeah, he is definitely. I think he's got 2 Grand Slams.
Yeah. 4 Heineken Cups.
Does he have all them though?
He played in the final in 2009. Did he play in the he was a sub in 2009.
Yes, he had the mumps, remember?
Yeah, he was mumps and he came on and he's really thin and it was like, what happened to Rob?
He was Player of the Year 2012.
Yeah, European Player of the Year, which is
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
He has the 4 Six Nations total.
Could be,
Yes. About 5 Magners Pro 12 leagues. He's very decorated. He is the most decorated player.
been on how many Lions tours? At least 2.
Not sure about 2. He's definitely on.
Definitely on the South African one.
Was the Australian one?
Maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, let's contrast him with the Glasgow fullback for tomorrow.
Stuart Hogg. Which are
think-
possibly his last game for Glasgow.
It's not possibly about
Possibly
Well,
it is, yeah.
Well, I was in like,
he might come back in years to
yeah.
come.
Okay.
But
So, on a rainy day, does Kearney offer you more because of that stalwart consistency and cool head?
I think it depends on your team though. You can't just put one player in. If your team's set up to contest kicks and you need a safe fullback, yeah, okay, I'll take Kearney. But I take Hogg almost every other thing because he's just so good going forward.
Yeah, I think
But
Hogg.
there's a problem though. Like in a rainy day, if he's trying to make something happen with offload, like he's throwing passes up, stick on a dry day, that might hurt you. Like they're just completely different philosophies of what a fullback is.
So you called out the Leinster partnership of Ringrose and
Henshaw.
Thank you. I would have got there eventually. The Glasgow centre partnership, Sam Johnson and Kyle Stein, has been quite on form lately.
They have.
Would you give them the nod there? Would you say, or?
I would.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, I okay. I'm gonna say like creatively,
Yeah,
right now they're better. Confidence wise, I think they're
I haven't
probably
seen
better.
enough of them to see how good they are defensively. Like Henshaw and Ringrose are very good defensively for whatever their flaws are going forward.
I think Ringrose might have missed 3 tackles in the Saracens match.
Yeah.
3 now, that's a big number.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. But
You don't want to be missing 3 tackles against that Glasgow backline. I'll say that now.
yeah, if you do, that's 2 tries probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Their offloading game is such that if they make a line break, I would be worried.
They're very good finishers.
And-
Van der Merwe, Seymour and Hogg are probably some of the best finishers you could possibly get.
And like, let's be honest here, Kearney in that backline, he's not probably the most agile at his age.
He had a
So,
great game against Saracens though.
oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm saying against this Glasgow backline, who are going to be running at him and just stepping around the guy, I'm
Well,
not
so
sure.
no, if they're running at Kearney, something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ringrose misses the tackle. There's an offload in there.
Yeah.
1-on-1, like Sam Johnson on Kearney. he's getting
That's how
around.
bad it gets, folks. Can't even finish a sentence.
Like, he's getting around him. So
Probably. Hopefully not, but
hopefully the rain just makes the ball super slippy and it doesn't leave the forward backs.
yeah, I think if it's a forwards game, we win.
Well, it's actually really interesting how the Ulster Glasgow match completely coloured my, and maybe to a lesser extent the Saracens match, completely coloured my opinion of how this match will go.
Yeah, but bearing in mind, like when we're talking about that, Glasgow got hammered by
Saracens. Yeah.
and we hammered them. Not hammered them. Sorry, we beat them comfortably. European competition last year.
Yeah, but okay. Sorry to interrupt you, but we all agreed that the reason Saracens are good is because that beefy forward pack.
It's not the only reason. They have a very good.
Defensively.
yeah,
like,
they're good defensively.
very good at
They've
half.
good backs, everything. But you say the basis for their wins is through that strong
Yes.
up front carry,
The wolf pack.
and then we agreed that we don't have that. Okay,
We don't have it as good as them.
Yeah.
We're probably the second best.
They would have more like freaks, athletic freaks
Yeah.
in their team than probably any
Yeah.
other team.
Like if you look at it, I wouldn't take their front row.
Sander Ferguson got into the Pro 14 Team of the Year now.
Yeah.
He's clearly good enough.
Hubris, reading our words. To next
Rob,
week.
get that Team of the Year up again there.
Okay. The dream team of the year.
Look, no Leinster front three now.
Is
Yeah.
our front
Sander Ferguson.
Because our front three's playing for Ireland.
Yes.
Yeah, but Sander Ferguson.
Well, I'll make a bold claim here. I'll throw this out there and see who bites.
Go on.
I'm looking at the packs here, and I'm like, Jamie Batty versus Cian Healy, Fraser Brown, Sean Cronin, probably Sean Cronin.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah,
Carry on, sorry.
and so on and so on. So I look through this, and it's kind of hard to pick out a Glasgow forward that I take over a Leinster
That's
forward.
because you know all the Leinster names, and you see them week in, week out. You understand how they are over a large period of time. If you watched any of these on form, on any like in that Ulster match,
some of these names, like I'm just looking at, like,
but just because you don't know them doesn't mean that they're not playing really good at the moment.
I don't know them from international level, like. So whereas
That
the Irish
doesn't mean they can't go out there and absolutely demolish us.
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, at international level, I look at those Irish guys and I'm like, okay, well, I know what he can do at that level. Whereas the Scottish guys, there's a few of them, like Rob Harley, like, I've seen him at international level, and
Okay, look at the Munster back row. Peter O'Mahony, international player. CJ Stander, international player. They're both fairly average lately. I would say both Rob Harley, Callum Gibbons and Matt Ferguson would walk into a team ahead of them on form.
I wouldn't say walk. You consider it, but you wouldn't.
Okay, maybe not CJ, but Peter O'Mahony, like,
And we could be overstating how poor Peter Manning is as well.
yeah.
Maybe because I watched so little Glasgow, that one phenomenal performance against Ulster has totally coloured my... Also, I'm salty about the fact that I backed Leinster to win against Saracens by like 10 points or something. They let me down big time. So my whole confidence is shook. But yeah, I think because we don't know the players as well on the Glasgow team, we're underestimating them, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'll agree with you there in that, like, okay, I don't know, like, Scott Cummings, I can't really talk about him at all, but the ones that I do recognise, the ones that I have seen at international level, I've seen Irish players beat them up. Like,
rate Hogg and say Hogg's a great player,
yeah,
the best in the pitch.
Hogg would walk into Irish team, no
We're
problem.
not going to say, I haven't seen enough from him in the Glasgow shirt.
Yeah.
Like you said, Harley's been around for a good while now. You can say he may have a great game, but it'd be surprising if he's the most dominant forward there.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
Okay,
and you're saying that either Rhys Ruddock, Van der Fleer, Jack Conan, or James Ryan or Scott Fardy could be the most dominant forward there, based on past
Rhys Ruddock
performance.
less likely than the other four, but I think they could.
the Irish players have a higher ceiling, so as in, like, if they play to their max ability, they'll beat them
In the forwards.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, it's just like if the Scottish players play to their max ability, it mightn't be good enough.
Bear in mind, this is a pack good enough though to get them to
Yes,
home semi,
true,
and a final of the
and a quarter final in the
Yeah.
in the Champions Cup, like, so.
Yeah, but I just think they similar to Munster, they just lacked the grunt up front. Although Munster are a bit beefier up front, but a lot worse in the backs. I think Glasgow could make this a healthier game, and that would favour them. But I think Leinster will control the game.
We'll be Saracens in this game.
Yes,
That's the plan, I imagine.
So we'll be poor man Saracens. And
Yep.
we'll,
And Glasgow will be Glasgow, and we'll probably win.
I don't know, man.
I'd say Leinster by 5 points or so.
Yep.
You know what? Like, fuck it. I'm gonna say Glasgow by 8. But I have always been wrong on this podcast, so I hope I'm wrong again. Like, but yeah, I'm just always in doubt. Always in a perpetual state of doubt.
That could be our podcast tagline.
Crippling doubt.
Rob, what's your call?
I'm going to go with Leinster by 3. So
I think it could end up where Leinster are like 10 points ahead or something with 10 minutes to go or something, and then Glasgow score to bring it to a closer margin.
That's what happened in the match within the last few months, isn't it? Glasgow versus Leinster in the RDS.
It was close enough, and then Glasgow
scored a few tries, and
then it ended up like them stretching away.
Yeah.
But it was towards the end of the match, wasn't it?
Yeah, like it was going back and forth, and we were coming back into it. We brought our subs on, and we came back into it, and then someone got a card or something, and that killed the momentum completely, and they won off that.
What about Ross Maloney on the bench?
I think
is he good enough?
Yes.
Why isn't Oisin Dowling there?
Maloney's had a great season so far. I thought he's one of the most improved players.
He's improved again. He's Mike Haley of the forwards to me, in that I expect so little of him that if he goes out there and have an average game, it appears a lot better than it is because I'm so used to him fucking up all the time.
Like,
I think his trajectory so far is going very similar to Toner.
That's encouraging.
Where he's getting games because he's tall and it's not much competition.
Yeah.
And the more he's gone on in his season, the more he's grown physically bigger. Like he's now, it's no longer hit and miss. It's now a more consistent level, and hopefully it gets better and better from that. But
Do you know who's also tall? Oisin Dowling.
true, but like you don't put someone, the academy player, when you have someone a full pro.
Well, it will be quite disrespectful to Ross Maloney to do that, I think, from the management's perspective. But yeah, no, I think you are right, and I again have this negative bias against Maloney in the back of my head. So I hope to God, if he has to come on early or when he does come on, he proves me wrong. And it's his first game back in a while, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been injured for a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, so that could be tough for him. But wish him all the best anyway.
Should
So
be a good game.
You think Glasgow by 3, Rob? Was it?
No, Leinster by 3.
Oh, sorry. I just don't want to be alone over here.
Part of me thinks now I might be underestimating how hyped Glasgow are with this home final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be like a crowd.
Apparently it's
almost all for them.
Apparently it's going to be a record crowd for a club game in Scotland. So
Involving a Scottish team.
And
Yeah,
is there
yeah,
overlooking
yeah.
the fact that all the Rangers fans are going to be out supporting?
yeah, that was Leo Cullen. I saw came out and said that he made some flippant comment like offhand. He
It was a
didn't-
joke.
yeah, basically.
People seriously thought he was trying to stoke racial sectarian tension.
Good old Leo.
I like for whatever reason. There's a lot of Scottish people on Twitter that I follow, and they were like very upset.
Vehemently so.
Yeah, like they were genuinely angry, which I thought was a bit strange.
But this is just to divert and go into more social commentary here. This is just a wider issue of social political correctness and shit. Like, what is wrong with him making a fucking random comment like that?
Yeah, but that's why they don't do it. Remember a few months back, Dave, in this podcast, asking, why can't more players just say what they want?
Yeah, and I agree. Why can't?
Because this
they?
happens, it blows up in your face.
So fucking what? Like, and now he's come out and apologised, which I understand because people got worked up. But this is the culture we're living in, lads.
Well, I think some of it is that for us, it's like it's not that big a deal because like we're not exposed to any real sectarianism at all. Whereas if you're actually from Glasgow, it's like a genuine issue, like it's a problem.
But how so? Like, okay, tell me about Glasgow history.
Okay, let's start. Where do we start?
Especially in Celtic Park. Like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the football teams. That's what this is about. Sorry.
Oh God! Oh no! I thought you didn't realize that joke.
I was getting confused about. I was confused in Northern Irish history, Scottish history,
Which is what like that.
It's basically the same thing.
Okay,
so.
yeah, sorry.
Before we lose any more viewers.
Was there any other tidbits from the week to talk about? Or
George Smith retired. His name George, isn't it?
Yeah, this is George Smith. Yeah, you're right.
Really good career.
Nagel gone to
Zebra, yeah. Still going.
Poor Zebra.
so Nagel has now played for Munster, Leinster, Ulster, and Zebra.
Why didn't he get the contract? Because he didn't want.
Cambridge, I think.
Yeah, he definitely played.
Cambridge. It was one of
the
the colours games he played. He's been around.
Super Rugby is still going. Just a shout out to our.
I hear it's actually quite close. I hear the Crusaders are like the standout team, but then everyone else below that are just like beating and losing to each other and stuff, which is rare because usually it's the New Zealand teams beating everyone else and then everyone else just kind of a dogfight between each other. Maybe one South African team at the races. But that's good to see.
I know the Jaguares are doing well this year
They
as well.
beat Highlanders at home.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Creevy was up for that.
Which is, I'm not sure how the World Cup is lining up in terms of Ireland versus Argentina, but it doesn't look good. If
we were playing them, it would be semi-final or something.
Yeah.
So for minimum, so like I'll take that.
Yeah, but if we get to a semi-final, I want to make it to the final. Sorry.
If we get to the final, I want to win the final.
But yeah, any more tidbits or is that it?
Let's see what else.
I remember it was just before we came here was Luke Fitzgerald getting called out on Reddit for he mixed up the two Connacht players, I think Jared Butler and Colby Fayenga.
Yeah.
He was saying that it was the Players Player of the Year and Colby Fayenga won it, I believe, and he was implying that he was Jared Butler, i.e. saying he came in as he took over that leadership role, implying that he was the captain. People are like, he's just mixing up these two dark-skinned players, like that sort of. But apparently, Luke Fitzgerald has a track record of being a bit brain dead, so I think people are just beating a dead horse there.
We can relate.
We know he's stupid, so why call it out? But yeah, player of the year, Colby Fayenga. Congratulations, you're a good captain, kid.
He's a pro. He's a Pro 14 player. Like,
no, I think he's actually really good. Okay, he's really good in the Pro 14.
Yeah, that's it. He's like Josh Navidi from years ago.
He's now a great international.
Yeah, now Josh Navidi is shaken off the Pro 14 and now he doesn't play in it, basically. Which is what every player really aspires
and that's
to.
why there's no Welsh teams in the...
Yeah, actually, let's talk about the Welsh teams. So there's only going to be one Welsh team in Europe next year in the senior competition.
Is that Scarlets or Ospreys?
Ospreys.
So they won that
yes,
playoff
they
thing,
beat
did
them,
they? Okay.
which was a bit...
weird.
Well, like, Scarlets haven't been having a great season and like Ospreys really haven't either, but...
based over the last few years' form, you would say Scarlets should be the team in the...
It is some fall from grace to go from a final in the Pro 14, semi-final in Europe, and...
Winners of Pro 14.
Yeah, and then to not even in the playoffs and not in Europe, which is pretty grim. So...
End of Welsh rugby.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I don't get Welsh rugby where it's like at international level they're winning Grand Slams, looking as strong as they ever have, and at provincial level they're just non-existent, and
it is quite strange.
Yes, it makes me think: are we doing it wrong?
We have it the opposite way.
Last year we won a Grand Slam, and we won Europe.
Yes, we won
And-
everything,
and- yes.
and we won. So some years it works.
I'll trade occasional
Feast or famine. Feast or famine.
Yeah.
but we can have feast and famine, or else feast.
You can't have a feast and a famine.
Someone ate all the food.
We have both.
Well, maybe if you look at it in terms of a society, you can have the lower classes who are starving.
We generally have feast and lesser feasts.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're good or very good. That's how it goes. All right. I think that's it. All right, we'll leave it there. All right, bye.
Bye.
Say bye, guys.
Bye.